Okay. I'm just going to use this as a backdrop because I do have a message that I do need to deliver at all costs. Because I saw a video as well as I got into an argument about the current state of beings. The argument was about Talarico, and then the video I saw was about just being angry at the state of things. I'm going to read what I posted in my a disabled helper on my Blue Sky. So I posted the video, um, and this was my response to her. And I do give other information. So this needs to be heard just to hear your side, but a different perspective to help you remember you are not alone in this unfettered anger and frustration. I'm only 550 in, 5 minutes 50 seconds in. And yes, I feel you. I feel what you're feeling. We are together in this struggle. Now, the uneasy answer is we need to find the perfect balance between religion and science, the people and leadership, the cops and the investigators, the rich and those who have less. And until we find that balance, it will always revert back to what we see now as we've seen for centuries. The smart thinks that they have all the answers. The corrupt think they have all the power. The military indoctrinating patriotism without allowing the free will expression. The information not being distributed evenly, there will all, I should have put without the information being distributed evenly, there will always be problems that grow in any system we create. And then I posted an ERB rap battle of Douglass versus Thomas Jefferson. Um, Even people who we adore as our great forefathers couldn't hold themselves back from using the system they created to avoid the abuses. Going all the way back to George Washington's address, where he gave a few warnings, and then I post the George Washington address, which I think I'm going to read. So let's do that. Let's, it is going to be a decently long read, so I apologize, but it needs to be heard. So this is from the beginning. The period for a new election of a citizen to administer the executive government of the United States being not far distant, and the time actually arrived when your thoughts must be employed in designating the person who is to be clothed with that important trust. It appears to me proper, especially as it may conduce to a more distinct expression of the public voice, that I should now apprise you of the resolution I have formed, to decline being considered among the numbers of those out of whom a choice is to be made. I know that sounds a little complicated, basically explaining why he's stepping down. Citizens, by birth or choice, of a common country, that country has a right to concentrate your affections, your rights. The name of American, which belongs to you in your national capacity, must always exalt the just pride of patriotism more than any appellation deprived from local discriminations. With slight shades of difference, you have the same religion, manners, habits, and political principles. Now, when he says the slight shades of difference, I'm assuming he's referring to slaves, which I do mention in the post when I go back to it. You have and of course, when I mention ERB, the Frederick Douglass versus, what was it? Hold on. Thomas Jefferson. Um, he also used slaves despite, in the rap battle, and of course you can look it up yourself, saying, yeah, he considers it abhorrent, but he still used the slave system to maintain his status. Almost there. Okay. With slight shades of difference, you have the same religion, manners, habits, and political principles. You have in a common cause fought and triumphed together. The independence and liberty you possess are the work of joint councils and joint efforts of common dangers, sufferings, and successes. But these considerations, however powerfully they address themselves to your sensibility, are greatly outweighed by those which apply more immediately to your interests. Here, every portion of our country finds the most commanding motives for carefully guarding and preserving the union of the whole, which clearly, if we're going back to today, Trump has not done that. No matter which way you slice it, even if you like going back to his first term with America First, he constantly tried to split us up, using anger to split us up and not actually care for the union as a whole. So, right then and there, according to George Washington's words, he would not be fit for president. While then every part of our country thus feels an immediate and particular interest in union, all the parts combined cannot fail to find in the united mass of means and efforts greater strength, greater resources, proportionably greater security from external danger, a less frequent interruption of their peace by foreign nations, which all you have to do is bring up the Iran war. And again, Trump has fundamentally failed. Observe good faith and justice towards all nations. Cultivate peace and harmony with all. Religion and morality enjoin this conduct, and can it be that good policy does not equally enjoin it? It will be worthy of a free, enlightened, and at no distant period a great nation to give to mankind the magnanimous and too novel example of a people always guided by an exhausted justice and benevolence. Who can doubt that, in the course of time and things, the fruits of such a plan would richly repay any temporary advantages which might be lost by a steady adherence to it? Can it be that Providence has not connected the and that was a question, by the way. I didn't read that right. Can it be that Providence has not connected the permanent of felicity of a nation with its virtue? The experiment, at least, is recommended by every sentiment which ennobles human nature. Alas, is it rendered impossible by its vices? The great rule of conduct for us in regards to foreign nations is in extending our commercial relations to have with them as little political connections as possible. So he was already warning about Citizens United and how we entwine ourselves with the quote unquote alliances like Israel, who somehow penetrated all levels of governments by training our cops to buying our politicians to, owning the tech oligarchs to fight for their cause. So where was I? Have them as little political connections as possible. So far as we have already formed engagements, let them be fulfilled with perfect good faith, which it clearly has not. Here let us stop. Europe has a set of primary interests which to us have none, or a very remote relationship. So let me clarify on my position. I believe that we do need a globalization of connectivity, but not so much tied to where if we, you know, not just we, but of course I am referring to the Hormuz Strait. If we stop that supply route, that we would be unaffected because we are not closely tied to that resource or to that company's wealth, or that company, the nation's wealth, where we need to still be independent, which we are not. A lot of our stuff, like the phones that we are using, the PlayStations that we buy, they are built in China, whether that's just assembly or whether that's the parts and then they're shipped to America and then they're assembled here, and therefore saying, quote unquote, it's built in America. We need to fix that. We are not self sufficient. Like, if right now the warning is if China invades Taiwan, all those chips that the AI is relying on and all that, it's gone. Because there's no way China's taking Taiwan without having to level the island. If they don't want to level the island, then they better be prepared for a mass casualty event. That's the warning. And then even then, the chip manufacturers will either get destroyed during its conquering, or somehow, avoids the war, and then they just own the chips now. So we are relying on countries to sustain ourselves, which is not good. So I believe in globalization. I do not believe the close ties that we have. We need to be self sufficient to at least survive as a nation. And right now, it is not surviving, it is crashing. So let me get back to it. Hence, she must be engaged in frequent controversies, the causes of which are essentially foreign to our concern. Hence, therefore, it must be unwise in us to implicate ourselves by artificial ties in the ordinary, and I don't know this word, I've never seen it before, VICISSITUDES. I don't know how to say that. Of her politics, or the ordinary combination and collisions of her friendship of enmities. So I'm going to go ahead and copy and look that up in a moment. It is our true policy to steer clear of permanent alliances with any portion of the foreign world. So far, I mean, as we are now at liberty to do it, for let me not be understood as capable of patronizing infidelity to existing engagements. Um, I'm going to take it as taking other people's religion and making it our own. Let me read that again because it was a little wonky of a sentence. As we are now at liberty to do it, for let me not be understood as capable of patronizing infidelity to existing engagements. I'm gonna take it as putting it on the Israel side. Um, their racism towards Palestinians, we should not adapt their infidelity because it will corrupt our own, is the way I'm taking it. I hold the maxim no less applicable to public than to private affairs. That honesty is always the best policy. I repeat it. Therefore, let those engagements be observed in their genuine sense. But, in my opinion, it is unnecessary and would be unwise to extend them. So you can always bring up the genocides that we have caused. So one of the examples that I like to bring up that a lot of people don't is that we actually, I don't think it was Kissinger. It might have been Kissinger, but he traveled to Pakistan and helped a genocide of a people there. I forget what the year was and what the timing is, but we helped in a genocide in Pakistan. So, relying on its kindness in this as in other things, and act, actuated by that fervent love towards it which is so natural to a man who views in it the native soil of himself and his progenitors for several generations. I anticipate with pleasing expectations that retreat in which I promise myself to realize without alloy the sweet enjoyment of partaking in the midst of my fellow citizens, the benign influence of good laws under a free government, the ever favorite object of my heart, and the happy reward, as I trust, of our mutual cares, labors, and dangers. And that was Washington's address. So let me look up that word real quick because I've never seen that before. I'm not using AI. The quality is state of being changeable, natural change or mutual visible in nature or in human affairs. A favorable or unfavorable event or situation that occurs by chance, a fluctuating of state or condition, a difficulty or hardship attendant on a way of life, a career, or a course of action, usually beyond one's control. Alternating change, succession. Okay, got a better idea of that. So then I continue. All of which in the past as well as the current day has been ignored, either due to the times, like slaves still being seen as less than 3/5 a person, or women having rights at all. The difference being today is the regression of that progress. That's why it's hitting so hard today. We don't want to regress. We want to continue the progress. We don't want people being beaten with batons. We want arguments in chambers and suits. We want representation for everyone, not just those who can afford a private audience. We want inalienable rights that are free, not to pay to play. That's the system we are fighting all over. Just from my point of view, every government that exists has fundamentally failed. Every government needs a rework as we haven't found the perfect equation yet. But in order to find that answer, we need to move forward and learn from the past, not repeat it. If we can figure our shit out and start fixing the US, we can revitalize the USAID program. We can revamp our WHO with more of an equal role instead of being in control. We can bring back FEMA, make our infrastructure better, make our representation more equal. We fix our shit, we fix our alliances. We can decide to cut off Israel and enforce the protections of Palestine people, stop the Iran war, pull back troops from Nigeria and Somalia and wherever else that we are not wanted, offer a more balanced existence on the world stage, break our dependence of harmful chemicals, recreate and make better regulations, get our medical care run efficiently and be 100% burden free. Much like Ukraine, the U.S. gets a fresh start in how to govern. Oops, I accidentally clicked something. We need to make sure the people control that restart process. Do not give up. Do not give in. Giving in means death. And I wrote that because we now know that we are living in a death cult with especially Elon Musk almost running the helm at this point. I know Trump is being what's that Bernie movie, Weekend at Bernie's or something, where he's dead but they're parading his body around. I know they're doing that, and I know he's not truly in charge, but he's in charge. Let's not question that. But Elon Musk has been leading the charge in poisoning our world with not only his rockets and his data centers, but also his satellites, which only last 5 years before they crash down into Earth. And then it will release this toxic, I don't know if it's chemical or metal that just stays in the atmosphere for years before it burns up. It's not good. Like right in our predicament, it's not good. But it is not beyond fixable. We can fix this. We need to make sure that the people control our nation. So first things first, we get rid of fascism, then we'll work on the blue MAGA oligarchy people. Unless we get enough people that overwhelm the oligarchy system, then we can start our democracy in repair. But giving up means the fascists win. Giving up means the oligarchy win. And both of those, out of the three scenarios that I've given, leads to death of many. Yeah, and that's the message I needed to deliver at all costs.